Hey, it's Steve Zotke with the Traction Reaction Podcast. I'm here with a living legend, Marie Hall, who fans of racing will remember her husband, Norm Hall. Norm, of course, was a driver in the 60s, but made a resurgence in the early 80s. Guys bought an old Grand King Kingfish and went racing. And the first time I was made aware was turned into second weekend of qualifying at Indianapolis, and there's Jim Hurtubise in your car. So how did that come about?
Well, I was not involved in racing, and Norman and I got married, and we finished raising my kids, and they were on their own, and he says, let's go play race cars. So we got a Silver Crown car, and we played with that, and then we out-qualified for it at the fairgrounds one year. So Norman said, the time is right, the price is right, write the check. And we bought the Kingfish Eagle. And Norman liked giving other guys a chance. So we gave Jerry Miller a chance, and Jerry was able to get through his rookie test, but I think he decided it was more than he could handle. So we didn't get to qualify in the first weekend. I had drawn a very good number, I think 6 or 7, and that really scared Jerry, like I can't go out there. So now we're here. We've got no drivers. It's first weekend of qualification. And so Norman made some phone calls to the West Coast, and a friend came back to be our chief mechanic. And then Norman, being Norman, said, I'm going to put Herk. And I said, what? And he says, don't worry, I got it all figured out. So the deal was, he was going to put Herk in it and then sell the ride. Because there was people walking around. And we would go out and we'd get 3 good laps and we'd get qualified. We said, just leave it around. We'd bring it in, looked it all over, no oil, just go out. And we did that either 2 or 3 times. And Norman says, how much because they're still mad at you for
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And so we didn't qualify.
Yeah. And he was even doing writing too, writing for Open Wheel.
He wrote 5 articles.
Very good articles too.
And he was paid for them. And they wrote the obituary in Open Wheel. I guess Norman had a really good reputation because Robin Miller did his obituary on the front page of Indianapolis.
The one thing that was brought up, my buddy Jim had talked to you about this before, and a lot of people may have not realized, but Jim Hurtubise never wore a full face helmet.
No.
And the consensus was that pretty much all he was really comfortable with was running about 4 or 5 laps with a closed.
That's why we knew. And the other thing is, with the burns he had, he couldn't stay in a fire suit.
Right.
As soon as he came in, we had to strip him.
Yeah, my dad has footage. Last time he ran IndyCars full time was in '67 with Leader Card, and he came in after I think it's the Bettenhausen 200, and he was just exhausted. He was just worn out because of the burns. He couldn't sweat like you or I could.
Yes.
So he couldn't perspire, and he really would overheat easily. And a lot of people think that's why he passed away so young too, because of that stress on his heart.
Well, he had a heart problem, and it would be stress.
Yeah.
He was doing what he wanted to do, fishing in Texas.
Yes, he was. And you actually ran some other races, though, the following year with Phil Kruger.
Yeah, well, we had, Norman had a lot of people in the car. He enjoyed doing it. We had Phil drove our car. Phil was like an adopted son for me. Wally Prankman was in my car.
At Riverside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we made the commercial for Dodge at Riverside.
Oh,
We spent 3 days there making a commercial. He had other drivers, I can't remember their names, but guys that were driving Silver Crown cars, and Norman called him saying, you want to try? And yes, one of the guys were over in Pennsylvania. What was his name? But he has come in my store and thanked me. He says he gave me an opportunity. I could say I was there. And Norman says that every racetrack in the United States in the 60s and 70s, when a guy got in a race car, I said, you can go to any. Well, to go there and to run was fantastic. And now we have to say every driver in the world, because we're getting it from Brazil, we're getting it from everywhere. So it is still the #1 track. And when people come in and say, oh, your husband wrote, what did you do? I said, you know what? It's the most important thing that Norman did. And Norman told me, Marie, I love you. Racing is #1, you're #2, and the kids are #3. And if you're not #1, you're not a good racer.
That's true. Yeah, it's chewed up a lot of marriages over the years.
It has, and the ones that are solid are wives that know.
Yeah. All right, well, that's perfect timing here. We're at the Memorabilia Show. So thank you, Marie. Appreciate you taking time out. Thank you.
Motor Speedway, and out on the track, we have a bit of living nostalgia. In that car is Jim Hurtubise, age 48. 21 years ago, in 1960, he came to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and turned in the fastest qualifying time of that year. Now, he did not sit on the pole because he did not qualify on the first day, and as you probably know, you must qualify on the first day in order to earn that first slot on the first row position. But Hurtubise turned in a speed then considered remarkable, just under 150 miles an hour. This year, the fastest qualifier, of course, is over 200. But Hurtubise is out there in a stock block, a standard engine Chevrolet, and he's going to make his attempt to bump another car from the field. He's going to take the green flag. The way it worked here is one car at a time, 4 laps around, and then if you take all 4 and take the checkered flag, then you have a speed. A little puff of smoke there as I sit with Jackie Stewart.
Well, that puff of smoke was when he lifted his foot off the throttle going into turn 1. Now, the very fast cars, the cars that really handle and get up to the speeds that you referred to, Jim, there, the 200-mile-an-hour speeds, go around the speedway completely flat to the floor. That's to say the gas pedal right down all the way. Jim Hurtubise lifted off there, and when he lifted off and put his foot back in it again, and you saw it there again, that puff of blue smoke is just that little bit of oil that slips down between the piston rings and the cylinder and puffs out a little bit of oil there. But that does show you that Jim's lifting off. Jim's a man of enormous experience. He's a man who's suffered greatly from motorsport. He was damaged very severely by fire. To this day, his hands are molded in a position to hold the steering wheel, and he's blown his engine completely.
Blew the engine after turning in first lap of 51 6/10 seconds, which would not have been fast enough anyway. Dennis Firestone is the man on the bubble. In other words, the man who would have been bumped had Hurtubise been successful. And there he is, a 36-year-old race driver, no kin to the Tire family, Dennis Firestone. So he's safe, at least for the moment. But as soon as another car goes out there, once again, Dennis Firestone will be on the bubble, just waiting to see it puncture.